watched Roswarby and Monumental again last night and realised what I like about it is that line between it being about something, like histories of dance or kinds of bodies, beyond the actual dancing, and it also being deeply rooted in dancing and performing. It's always slippery between it being, for example, the ballet swan, a real bird, or a bodily dance investigation. I think there's something similar in what you are attempting with your work. At times I see the score as being investigated, at times I am led towards an emotional or psychological response, and other times I'm building narratives around you, but there is a constant flickering between these readings. I think it is this space that I'm into with dance, the real here and nowness of it, watching a body work, but also that it can allude to meanings beyond that. Again, I'm not sure this is a question to you. I'm thinking perhaps about other people's work that might influence you and why. I'm going to answer this myself. We watched that YouTube video of Xavier Leroy during the residency because he also has a piece into Stravinsky's Rite of Spring. I'm not sure you liked it so much, but I'm really into his work. I really love how he takes something quite tangible and through duration or repetition manages to turn this into the abstract where the moving body is the central focus. In the case of this work, it's sort of ridiculous, conducting a recording, but then the music is so giant and complex that you're really watching the body being compelled to move by the music, which is kind of what dancing is, and possibly what Nijinsky's Rite of Spring was. I also admire his positioning of himself in relation to dance and art history, which we talked about perhaps being easier for a European. Seeing his earlier work, Projet, led me to revisit Yvonne Rainer again. I was super obsessed with her at uni because of her big calls and complete philosophic stance towards dance. Now I realise the dance information I have in my body comes from a lineage of all that Judson Church work. Being in New York here is interesting because there's such an overwhelming history of dance here, and you know that everyone has a sense of that in their bodies in a way that's different to Australia, where I could say I came out of university with a generic contemporary dance training but had a sense that it come more from ballet than anywhere else. This is probably a complete sideline of conversation, but I do feel this resonance of training in my body from Rosalind Crisp and all of her influences that we share, but it does feel an isolated knowledge in Sydney. This forum, I think, is meant to be about the idea of ongoing practice. I know we talked to Margie before we began, and she was quite clear about what this meant to her, that she didn't want this to be a one-off 4-week thing, and then other work commitments to get in the way. And then, of course, we had our 4 weeks, and then for me, there were 2 projects with the fondue set and a particular mentoring project at Dance House, and now I'm in the USA following Toby's band. And yet, I'm always feeling this sensation that I don't want what we established to end, like it is completely continuing in everything I read, I see, and with my correspondence with you, Lizzie. I think I established a way to view my practice, to have zoned in on my interests that are my solo interests, which make me feel more invested in working in a different way than what I felt before. I actually wanted to prolong the forum deadline too so that I could mull over what I thought and felt, but I know that it will happen anyway. I'm really glad to have shared this process with you, Lizzie, because it does feel like a particular individual journey that we will both continue separately, but that we know we have each other as well-informed buddies along the way. I feel like there's lots more that I haven't even touched on, but maybe we'll come back in another 6 months.